Sang this side.
Yeah, the happy
name.
name.
やばすぎ。
はい。
ハッピーランド。本当にハッピー？超絶でかいお部屋にしてくれた上、3時までチェックアウト時間を延ばしてくれました。感謝感謝。これ安かったです。2つセットをもりもりで頼んで、見てください、このボリューム感。アイスもついて、やばすぎ。これまでついてお値段なんと850円。やばすぎ。お腹いっぱい。今日はこれからルクソールに行きますが、このバス停までの20分徒歩が冷た何の水なんでしょうこれは。バス停までの20分徒歩です。でもここは平気そうだな。大通り平気そう。
タクシーを使うのも
ねえキャッシュを要求されたね。
なんかキャンセルさせないと連れてかないとみたいな、とかあるから、
とりあえずキャッシュが欲しいからね、なぜか。
それでぼったくりたいってこと。
もうあるかもね。
なんかタクシーを使うからといって、それが安心できるし。
そうね。
インドでね、全然捕まらなかった。
捕まらなかったね。
時間も読めないし。そう
ね。しかも今渋滞めっちゃ発生してそうだから、頑張って歩きましょう。注意しながら。高級ホテル街ね、綺麗。観光客もマックにちらほら入ってきてるから。ギザのあそこはだいぶと地元感強かったもんね。格安バックパッカーが泊まるホテルだから。ここっぽいな。場所はここだ。 Google マップは。やばすぎ、やばすぎ。あんちゃん大丈夫？やばすぎ。大丈夫？その入り口しかないの、もしかして。あそこだから、あそこさ、
そっか、あそこさっきの三角形のところ。
そう、あそこ三角形だから無理じゃない？三角形のところをさ、こっちに来るの至難の技だよね。まあ一番マシではあったんじゃない？あそこ完璧車道だもん。
インドだ。
インド？人の絡み方はムンバイ以上、歩道のなさはムンバイ以上。ちょっとムンバイしか経験してない俺らはちょっとハードル上がったね、これは。違うか。でも結構地元民8割、バックパッカー2割。あっきゃん。トイレあるやん。なんとかなんとかバクシー車渡さなくても良いのかな。ワンバック50、じゃあ50ってやだな。電車だと1万円ぐらいするんだよね。8000円。
私やっぱこれさ、一番最高級クラスじゃないよね。
違う違う。
モニターあるやつなんですよ
ね。こちら Go バスというアプリで予約しました。普通に便利だったね。 オンライン予約ができて。ナイル川だからめっちゃすごい。でもさ、マジ魔法の言葉じゃない。
やっぱね、この子たちみんな真剣にやってるから。
そう、笑顔で言ってあげたら嬉しいんじゃない？
ね。
うん。笑顔で言ってあげよう。
だから
別に悪い差をしようと思って言ってるわけじゃないから。まあ
それでぼったくろう
ぼったくろうとしてるのかもしれない。
まあでもいい一日を過ごして
ね。
悪い気分にするのはやめましょう。
No, thank you. Have a nice day. お、こっちちょっと栄えてるやん。チェックインできるかな。ねえ、マジでナイル川の付近になると緑がブワーって生えてね、綺麗だった。そりゃな、ナイル川付近に作りたくなるわ、街を。ああ、ここまでか。学校か。ここ右だね。いやー、大丈夫かな。こんなところにあるの？ハッピーランド。本当にハッピー？あ、ヒルトンあんの？ヒルトンルクソールあんの？
わかんないけど
そうね。あった。オーナーさんなのかよくわかんないコーナー権力を持ってそうな人がご飯食べていいよって言ってくれた。そしてお花をくれた。優しい。よかったね、ここにいて、ね、マックに行かずに。いいオーナーさんだね。
なんか初めてなんかエジプトがちょっと
治安いいって言ってたね。ギザと違う？
子供たちの服装とか。
あー、確かにちゃんと学校とかに通える感じなの。あ、いいスーパーマーケットがある。どこでもカードが使えるって言ってたね。生野菜とか安いのかな。スパイスも有名なのかな。
Need one more?
No, it's enough. Thank you.
Sorry? I'll be back.
Yeah.
め
めっちゃ美味しそうじゃん。これが110ぐらいかな、300円ぐらいかな。そっちは75かな、200円ぐらいにこれもついてんの。じゃあだいたい45ポンドぐらいだから130円ぐらい。水は7だったね。1.5 リッターが20円だからめっちゃ安いな。20だとジュースが買える、大きいサイズの。多分外食も、ちょっと小切れなところ行くと、でもそれでもタイとかと同じぐらいの値段では食えるか。インドはやっぱ安かったか。インドは割といいところ攻めたよね。1食1000円ぐらいで攻めた。ここは1食800円ぐらい。それでいうとエジプトの方が安く暮らせるかもしれない。タイは1食600円700円ぐらいで食えて、エジプトは800円ぐらいで、インドは1000円でもお腹を壊しちゃう。ガーダズガーデン、ちょっと難しいです。カムバックアゲイン240、やばすぎ。コーラとスパゲッティとタジン鍋で 700パンついててやばすぎ。
いい
店員さんレベル高い。
ちょっと好きになっちゃっ
好きになったねギザは結構タックスとチップが勝手に入っちゃうから 10%、14% とかで取られるからダブルで、それがないだけですごい安い。いかに東南アジアの40度がきつかったかが分かる。
た。結構暑くなったし。
暑いよ、暑いけど全然違う。おはようございます別カメラ
種類によって。
يابانيين
Nice to meet you.
معاك قناة يا مدير اليابانية بتاعت حبيبي
あれかな、あれっぽくね。
すごいこの辺綺麗。
綺麗だね。
綺麗にされてるね。
450。
area in a whole world in ancient time. After Cambodia, there is one temple in Cambodia bigger than this one.
あ
This everything in our universe smaller than this area.
ー、
Okay. Here we have a different 12 temples for a different 12 kings.
あ
Okay. Every king he must build anything in this area, inside this area. Why? That because the ancient Egyptian they believe this is the house of the god place. Amun Ra, you know Amun Ra?
ー、ラー、いや、
So Amun Ra, his house here.
あー、
So every king build a temple, very good temple, leave something for him very good. So, okay, as you can see here, this temple space 64 acres. So, main purpose to build this temple, as I told you, it was the house of the god Amun. Okay, but there is another purpose, another thing. They believe Amun, he must go to Luxor temple one time every year, 14 days. Spend 14 days. You go and come back. Why? Because they believe Amun Ra every year getting old, same as old man. So he go to Luxor temple to meet the another version of him. Okay, come on here, please. So as you can see there, in the Mecca, this is the original shape of the temple. Should be like this.
あ
But now,
ー、あー、
okay.
あ
So now where we are, you see this area are outside there, far away.
okay.
So now we will go walking, but taking this direction to enter. From
Ah, to
here
enter here.
To there, to there, to this area. After that, we will go here, take a picture, come back.
ー、オッケー。
Okay.
Okay.
That because as you see here, nothing to see. Okay? Here, totally damaged. Here, starting from this area, this direction to Luxor Temple,
あー、ルクソルテンポ。
also damaged.
あ
So, until this area, come back.
ー、オッケー。
Okay. It into continents.
うん。
What continent?
Yeah. Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And
Another?
the Middle East.
Nah.
Middle Eurasia?
East. Yes.
Yeah.
Asia.
Yeah.
Asia. Yeah, Asia. This is Asian part
Yeah.
here. And this is African part. All this area, Middle East.
Yeah.
So Middle East, all this distance until the Dead Sea.
Mm.
Okay. You know the population, the popular of Egyptian. How many percent? 120 million.
Yeah.
Okay. 100 million living in this area.
Yeah.
Okay, and the rest 20 million living in all this area, or less than 20 million. Only 25 million living in this area in Cairo. So quarter. So it's too much traffic there.
Yeah.
You know,
ナイル川がここまで来てたらしい。
52 Sphinx, two sides.
うーん。
Okay, body, lion, face, goat, ram.
あ
Broken damage by time this one built made maybe 3,200 years from now, 1200 year BC.
すごい。
In the most complete statue in
これ
front
が
of
綺
the
麗だって
ram. Number 2 here. Yeah. So all the rams stood nearly damaged. Only number 5 here or 6 complete.
すごい綺麗に残されてる。わあ、すげえ。
Before they finish it, so that they lift it. Also they leave this one.
うんうん。
So this one we call it mud break slide road.
あ、
you know?
スライドロード。ああ、いや。
So they used to take the stones up to there,
Ah.
one by one. They go high, they build, bring more rand, and they
土
build.
台か。
After that, they remove the rand, start to polish, make everything, go down a little bit, start polish, mention or write the descriptions, go down, polish until they finish it. Same as this one already finished.
いやいやいや。
That one unfinished. It's
あっち
mean
は
for us.
完成
King
して
died
て、
before they finished.
こっちは死んじゃったから途中で終わってて。How to bring the big stone to the upper side?
Very good idea. Very good question. They used to bring the palm stone, you know, the palm tree, that tree.
あは。
They use it as a wheel.
あ
From one side, by rope,
あ。
running.
この壁がすご。これを本当はやりたかったんだね。
Here we have special two statues for Ramses
Yeah.
II.
あ、ラムセスセカンド。
Ramses II, all the ancient Egyptian statues, the statue they made, they have three shapes, standard. The first standard, same this one, should be the king taking this position.
あ
What this mean? Afterlife god. Afterlife god, like mommy.
あ。ああ、like mommy。
So this is afterlife god we call Osiris. So Osiris shape.
オザイルスシェイプ。
This is military walk.
うーん。
Okay, so always the king ready, military walk. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
So this is we call it war standard. The third standard we have sit down. This is Ra standard.
あ
You got it?
あ。Yeah, I got it. このマミースタイルとミリタリースタイル、歩くスタイルとシッティングスタイルの3通りの像がよくあるらしいです。
Here, one important area. This is Arabic word. Okay, name Faydan Arabic, and this is Arabic date. So Faydan it's mean flood. In date 1887. So flood in 1887 coming to here.
ああ。あれがアラビック数字。
For Ramses II and his father, they built here 132 column. 132.
カラム。
All of them taking for description, the king giving gifts to different gods. Okay? For example, here the king. Okay, in the front of him Amun Ra. In the back of him also Amun Ra. In the second wall there, the king. In the front of him Amun Kamotep. He is the fertility god or fertility version of Amun Ra, sexual body. You can see one leg, one hand, and a man part.
これすごくない？やば。ピラミッドもすごいけど、これの方がなんかピラミッド壁がないもんね。
Two obelisks, big obelisk. Before there is one here also, but broken.
うん。
Broken, only two pieces here. The third piece is there. This one high, yeah, 18 meters. And this one 20 meters.
あ
Okay.
あ、すごい綺麗。
This is stepson of Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut's stepson. And another one Hatshepsut. Okay. So Thutmose number 3 and Hatshepsut. Before we have 9 obelisks here. only 3 available. It means 6 pieces outside right now, not available. Where? 2 America, 1 Washington DC, and 1 in New York. Okay. In Italy 3.
イタリー。
1 Vatican, 1 Torino, and another one more place in Italy. Okay. And we have 1 in London.
ロンドン。Yeah.
There is 1 also in Paris, 1 in Spain, and 1 in Turkey, in
め
Istanbul.
っちゃいっぱいいろんなところに持って帰ってる。これもオベリスクかな。
Yeah. And you see the customers right now, they're starting to spin.
Yeah.
But they make it opposite side. They make wrong side.
wrong side. This side.
Yeah, they have to spin another side, anti-clock.
Everyone wrong side.
Yeah, one starting wrong, all of them they will go wrong. Animals.
Animals.
No one thinks. You're thinking.
3周がプレグナントで、5周がパワーで、7周がラッキーで
It is a square. It's mean P also P. Bread. That one it's mean
Bread.
T. Hatshepsut. Okay. Name. When she get the king, Ma'at Kara. So I start to study to know everything.
Good.
And also I start Korean language.
Korean.これ紀元前。本当だね。読める気がする。鳥が食事をして。
可愛いよね。
かわいい。
Inside, see this thing? This is the royal name, the king
name.
Inside, only this circle. Okay? If you find outside, it's mean sentences. This is not a name. Inside, only here,
Name.
the name. Okay?
Different king name?
This is all one king,
Or one king?
but all titles.
あ
Yeah, so different title taking during his life.
あ。
And this is Sa-Ra. Okay, I know this one I studied yesterday. So this is birthing name.
Person name?
So birth name. So the name he got when he just baby.
あ
When he get to the king, change to Nusubiti.
あ。
Nusubiti, it's mean upper and lower Egypt. This is symbol of Upper Egypt, Luxor. This area we call Upper Egypt. And here, Nisu. BT, it's Lower Egypt,
Lower
Cairo.
Egypt, Cairo.
So 2 land, upper and lower. The king of 2 land.
It's interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
サハラって映画知ってます？
知らないです。
モロッコのカサブランカが知った場所だと思うんですけど、なんか
今回は400。続いてルクソール神殿に行きました。
We are here, Luxor Temple.
Okay.
This is the end area. Should coming by Amun Ra, starting as I told you from Karnak
Yeah.
to here. Stay inside this area 14 days and then go back to Karnak. Okay? So this is the main reason to build this area or this temple. Inside this area we have 5 religions worshipped here.
5つの
If
宗
you see
教
the
が
picture there,
混ざってます。古代エジプトとツタンカーメンのお父さんのアテンと
this picture
ローマ
taken
時代のやつとクリスチャンとこの裏にモスクがある。
Before we go inside, you see this is the road taking
Ah,
you
wow.
from here to Karnak Temple.
And many sphinx.
Yes, many sphinx, 2,700 pieces. So, what is the main reason to make this obelisk? This obelisk height 22 meters. Top of the obelisk, it was covered by copper. You know copper?
Copper, yeah.
Metal.
Dough, yeah. Dough.
Same as gold. They used to mix the copper with the gold. They put just in the top area, in the pyramid area. Why? Reflection the sun ray to everyone see from far away. This is the temple, or temple is here.
The shining.
Yeah.
広場にあるらしい。行って俺ら。なんかスポーツ観戦みたいなの外から見た広場の中心に立ってたこれ。
He ruled Egypt
い
above
い
like
king.
almost 57 years or 63. Two numbers we know have sure which one of them correct. Okay, so Ramses II, around this time, ruling time, he fight a lot of time. Every year, he have a different battles. At least 3 times, 3 battles he had during all his life. So the history said all this time he doesn't get beaten. No one beat Ramses II. Always win. During 57 or 63 years, always win. So that he announced himself the greatest king in ancient Egyptian time. Beat it. So everywhere you will find something related to Ramses II.
これがモスク。Now also available.
But entrance from inside, outside.
That's every statue Ramses II.
Here, Ramses.
Wow. Many.
One battle, one statue. 1 year, one statue. No problem. You see entrance, 6 statues available. So Ramses, he takes same picture and he was here. Entrance. Okay, 6 statue.
Yeah.
In 2 obelisk. All this one, all here. Some of Ramses II. Yeah. Too much
Yeah.
wives.
Too much. Yeah.
How many wives you can?
You see the 200? No.
20 wives.
Thank you.
20.
20 wife, 124
100.
kid.
100.
But 7. This one, he's the artist. Yeah, during his father's life. Okay. We have 2 important images. Come here.
Okay.
There. No. Here. This is the knowledge here, named Tut or Thoth or Jehuti. He's knowledge god.
Knowledge God.
He teach the Egyptian or the humans how to write, how to read.
Yeah.
And his wife from another side. And from here, this is a very important image. This is, we call it Habi, goddess and Nile goddess. Female, you can see female, not male. Okay. Here, mentioned as a 2 person, Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. Okay. Here you can find lotus. On another side, papyrus paper, which is symbol of Upper and Lower Egypt. Lotus, Upper Egypt, papyrus, Lower Egypt. So symbol under her feet, okay, Upper Egypt, and here Lower Egypt. In the middle, she hold is tied. Okay, it's mean united. Upper and Lower Egypt. And here, this is considered the throat of the human beings, ended by one heart shape, who protect by the feet. No one touch it, so protected by the feet, one heart. It's mean Egypt, one heart,
And
symbol of Upper and Lower Egypt connected.
Wow.
So this picture, it's mean or named Simataway.
Simataway.
Simataway, it's mean unitedity between Upper and Lower Egypt. Every king in ancient Egyptian time, he must mention this one and he write his name here inside the circle area. It's mean during my time, Egypt it was united. If he doesn't mention this image, it's mean Egypt it was divided.
It's interesting.
So very important.
So you say this is the god of
Yeah.
the Nile River?
Nile River God.
Nile River.
Happy.
おもろ白い。そしてキングの名前が中心に。
Ramses II, I told you he's the greatest king. Okay, so what he said here, he said all my enemies under my feet.
うん。
So this is
Enemy.
enemies, Libyan. Okay, you can see the beard and the haircut, not Egyptian. And all of them tied from neck, and all of them tied from the back as slaves. And everyone mentioned in front of his body his city name.
うーん。
So this is my slaves. Another side, Nubian or African slaves. You can come to see. This is a
different, yeah, hair.
haircut, mouse, ears. Look, Africans.
うーん。
So Libyans, Africans.
Libyans.
Libyans, another side Africans. This is the circle, but ended by one line in the back. Here, no lines. Same as here, the symbol you can see.
Yeah.
Very easy. Here, the name of the king. Inside this circle, ended. Okay.
One. Yeah.
Here, nothing down.
Yeah.
So, show you, this is a name.
Mhm.
Name of what? You can read. So, you can figure out. So, we notice this is a city names. Or this person name. But I don't think so. They will not mention the names of the persons. They will mention
The city.
name of the city to
yeah.
show to everyone, this is my city
Yeah,
enemy.
yeah.
Okay?
In hieroglyph, I can read this way or this way.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah, sometimes up down, sometimes down to up, sometimes time. Yeah, right.
No rules.
Sometime- Yeah, no rules. It depends about the situation. From where they will start till right. Or for example,
Very flexible.
now we coming from corner to here, going to this direction. So when we go inside this wall, all the letters start
this way.
from this way in
Oh.
here. Sometimes you will find it from down to up about the situation. Okay.
考古学者になろうかな。
Here we have
おもろすぎる。
this stone made from alabaster.
うん。
And another side, Tutankhamun with his wife, and this is the goddess Amun.
うん。
Okay. So in this area, this is the last area made by Ramses II. Starting from here, older dynasty. So inside before Ramses II, 18 dynasty. Ramses 19.
あ
This area from here, the pylons, you can see 14 pylons made by Amenhotep number 3, grandfather of Tutankhamun.
あ。うん。
Okay, all of them huge, very big, ended by lotus shape, open lotus flower. Open lotus flower. Okay, this is 18 dynasty. If you look in front of you there is another column here. There in the 3 rooms.
Yeah,
you see
yeah,
the
yeah,
3
yeah.
rooms. Closed lotus.
Closed lotus.
Closed lotus flower. And here open.
Yeah.
Okay, that means the difference between the dynasties. Every line 4 pieces that side, and here 12 pieces by 2. So total should be 64 columns.
64.
Okay, this is also built by Amenhotep number 3.
うん。
Nice, enjoy. And
ここは
written by
チャーチエリア、教会エリア。
They not Arab, not English. This one, if you can read, you will
Ah.
not understand anything.
The Roma?
Now, Christians.
Christians.
What they did, the Romans, they just used the ancient Egyptian wall. This is part of the temple before. So they bring cement or plastering and they put it above to the Egyptian sentences and start to draw them pictures. Okay? So this is the bad thing. They didn't build for them new temple.
Yeah.
They just use the old one.
Ah.
You can see here, for example, ancient Egyptian Amun-Ra here, and they just make above to cover. So they cover the old images. But the good thing, they didn't remove it.
Yeah.
So this is the bad thing and the bad good thing.
コロシアムの柱か。何が違うんだろう。
This is the whole of the whole area. This means no human beings can enter to here. Only people they can enter. The highest priest, the high one, or the older one, and the king by himself. Because all these pictures, the ordinary people not allowed to see. The relationship between the god and the king, and also the people they write, they are from royal family, so not from ordinary people. Maybe cousins of the king. So the artists they train, they make like artists, they teach him how to make these pictures, and then they come to make it.
そう。エジプトの柱はこうやっていくつものピースに分かれてるけど、ローマの柱はワンピース。
Picture. Alexander the Great, hold hand by Ra.
Ah,
Horus.
this is the Alexander.
Yeah, this is Alexander. And this is Ra.
Ra.
Ra, two feathers in the sun, and Ba, Horus face. So two got combined in one. Ra, Horus.
Horus.
And this is Amun-Ra.
Ah.
So they give him key of life. Give to Alexander key of life. It means long live the king. Okay, and here this is also Alexander the Great, but with the god we call it the Amun-Ra, the Velterity. This area, this is a sacrifices room, sacrifices area. Here you can see the cow, okay, tied from the leg, slaughtered,
Cut.
the head, and tongue out, it's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
done.
yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And here the king holding the soup, grapes, fruits or vegetables, bread, duck, wine or drinks, you know. And here perfume in the front of Amun-Ra boat. So when the boat coming, he put the perfume to enter in a very good smell area.
This ship is in the.
Yes, exactly. Here.
これはアレクサンドロス大王が作ったやつだけど、エジプトの宗教とかを尊重してたから壁画はエジプト風なんだよね。
でもあっちは
あっちはローマンが
ローマンのね、やつが上から
書かれてたね。だけど上書きしてくれたことによって下にまだ残ってたっていう、こういう土台がね、エジプトの柱なのか、こっちがローマの柱、違うフラワー、ね、とかワンピースからなるか、複数のピースからなるか。確かにこういうのも全部複数のピースからなってるもんね。こっちが閉じたハスの花で、向こうが開いたハスの花。作られた時代が違うという。でラムセス2世がすごいそうだね。ラムセス2世のお墓とか下見れんじゃないワンちゃん。すごい柱。紀元前ラムセス2世は紀元前1200年の人だったよ。やばくない？
どんな時代の人？
すごすぎ。
すごいね、本当。
すごくない？
めっちゃ綺麗。
これこんな綺麗に保存されてるのもすごいけど、
これを解読する人もすごい。
解読するのもすごいね。ここはより神殿感がすごいね。しかもさ、印象としてはアクロポリスの方がボロボロだったよね。こっちの方がめっちゃ綺麗に残ってない？
アクロポリスってどこだっけ？
アテナ、アテネ。
そうだね。
ね、あれより前だよだって。それのさらに1000年前ぐらい。そしてラムセス2世、ちょっと権威誇りすぎじゃないですか？ソウル来てよかった。
なんかあっちのソウルよりルクソール
カイロ、そうね、まあギザも
ピラミッドもすごいけど、
でも壁がなかったもんね。
そうそうそうそう
ギザのピラミッド。
ピラミッドはもう本当にピラミッドって感じだけど、
うん
こっちはやっぱなんかより歴史
ス
とか
トーリーが
そう
うん
ストーリーとかその背景みたいなのをめっちゃ
ね
見られるから、すごい面白かった。
面白かった。明日も楽しみだな。これがカルナック神殿に続く一本道。太陽神ラーが毎回年を取った後に生まれ変わる時にナイル川かこの道を通ってルックソール神殿に来るということですね。太陽神ラーのその像を持ってここからこう歩いたってことだ。たまには船で、時には陸路で洪水期に太陽神ラーが生まれ変わるっていうのでこう来たんだ。あ、本当だ。今日もガーダズガーデンに来ます。今日も京都でガーデンズガーデンに来ました。ベジタブルスープとツナパスタとツナパスタ120ぐらいだった。それは600円ぐらい。この時間でも結構子供たちだけで歩いてるから全然ルクソールの方がうざいとは思わない。ここはコンサート会場ですか。